Over the past months, I've built 5 free AI automations that help people get customers. And today I'm going to walk you through one of these step by step processes that I've used to build all 5 of these. I'm going to help you build them from scratch. And the cool thing about this is they've been tried and tested. They actually worked on real clients and have resulted in getting and bringing in multiple customers. So this works, it works well. And I'm sharing everything with you step by step, and the great thing about this is it's going to be completely free to start. Everything we're going to show you today either has a free trial or is going to allow you access for a free period of time. So you can get your hands dirty, you can follow along, and you can actually join us as we go through this very in depth process on how to get your first customers online with free AI automations. And so this is going to be the big process, and if you're not familiar with me or if you haven't been to the channel, I do trainings like this all the time, and I'm helping people earn from anywhere with getting their first $10,000 online. And I'm helping hundreds of people do this every week through trainings and through other workshops like this. So, if you want to actually join along with us on our weekly trainings, access a little bit more of this type of stuff, and just get DM access to me. So, if you have any questions about making money online, you can actually go ahead and just DM me and join our community of other people doing this as well. So let me go ahead and switch over to my screen share here, and basically we'll go ahead and get started. So if you want to actually follow along as we're building all of these automations and these workflows, I'm going to leave a few links below where you can actually start a free trial of all the software and tools that we're using. And basically we're going to be discussing 5 free automations to get your first customers. And the great thing about this, whether you don't have a business yet, you have a plumbing business, you're a lawyer, or if you have an online business like an e-commerce shop, all of these automations are going to work to help you get more customers or get your first customers. And so if you need some extra help and you want to join the community that we've built and launched, where we're doing this with a bunch of other people around the world, and we actually go ahead and build your first website, funnel, and CRM for you, and then teach you automations and live trainings on how to actually get your first customers. I'll show you where you can join here. You can join the Earn From Anywhere Academy. All you got to do is scan the QR code here or go to school.com/EFA, and I'll leave links below for everyone to join as well. So I'll see you on the inside. And basically, what I want to do here is just give you the most in depth, step by step process on how to replicate all of these AI automations. And so, the great thing about this, like I mentioned, is they've been tried and trusted on real clients, real customers. You're not getting version 1 or version 2, you're getting version 4.0 that already works and has been fine tuned. And so the great thing about this is one of the biggest issues I see with most entrepreneurs who are getting started or have even been doing it for 10 years, the number one bottleneck most people have is lead capture. And so today, a lot of these automations are going to focus on lead capture or lead nurture, which is basically going to be taking your leads, nurturing them, and making sure that you're isolating the people that actually need attention and have a higher chance of converting into customers. So a lot of times people think they need more leads, but they just haven't done a good job of taking the leads they already have, warming them up, and transforming them into customers. So we'll be kind of going through, hey, here's step 1 to create more leads. Here's step 2 to actually nurture them and then transform them into customers. And then we've got a bunch of other cool automations. And so if you want to actually go ahead and follow along, we're going to be using a program called High Level at the beginning and then N8N. And so we'll leave free links below where you can start a free trial. And so the cool thing about the Earn From Anywhere Academy is once you're on High Level, we'll actually build you a website, funnel, and then we'll train you in our community on how to actually implement it to get your first customers. We have a really great guarantee that if you work with us for 60 days and you don't get your first customer, we'll work with you for free until you do. So let's go ahead and dig right in. First off, why does lead capture actually matter? Again, you're just trying to build a business, you're trying to get more customers. And so this is the biggest bottleneck most people have is they don't know how to capture leads. They don't know how to create something that's good enough value for them to actually go ahead and opt in. And so a lot of people fail. They try to turn a terrible, let's just say lead magnet and they try to just make it better. But the problem is they just need to start from scratch. A lot of times the value in the lead magnet or capture just isn't valuable enough to create that attention. And so what I want you to do is, if you already have a business or if you don't, the issue that you're likely having is you don't solve a problem fast enough for the person in a shorter period of time. So the example that I like to use is in the gym industry. Again, if you're giving somebody who's like has never been to the gym before, and you're giving them a 100-page ebook on all the ways that people have lost weight over the years, yeah, it might be helpful, but likely they need something else where it's like, hey, let's lose your first pound this week, or let's try to lose 5 pounds in the next 5 weeks. Something where they can tangibly implement and try to do it as fast. Or even better, if you can do something that can be implemented that same day. So let's do a pantry clean out checklist where they can download this checklist, they can clean out their pantry, and they can get that first win where it's like, eat this, not this. And they just clear out their pantry of junk food. They do an audit of all the things in their house. And so the reason this is important is if you have a bad lead magnet, it doesn't matter. You're wasting money trying to send traffic to it. It's better to spend that time and money to create something better, to create a better foundation that's going to get your leads a very quick win. And once they get that quick win, nurturing them to a customer and ascending them is going to be a lot faster and a lot more successful. And so, what I want to show you here is just an example about how big of an impact some small changes can have when you already have a working funnel and lead capture. And so, what we have here is we have a uh, landing page. And so when you're building a landing page and when you're capturing leads, what I highly recommend is first name, last name, phone number, and email. These are the core things. You can sometimes add a very short question if you have a very specific person you want to isolate. So if you can ask it in like one short sentence, like that can really qualify them. So for example, like if you're trying to isolate people for a certain geo or their age, like you can only deal with 35 to 45-year olds, you could ask a simple question here, what's your age? And so it should be the thing that qualifies the most amount of people with as little friction as possible. And so again, it really varies, but I would say like don't add more than one qualifying question on the front end. You want to keep it like this. And then if you can ask that on the next page or further in the funnel. So what I suggest doing is having a really great free workshop like this. And then after they've opted in, you have something that's of even more value or a low ticket offer that adds a ton of value to them. And so this is going to better nurture them into customers. And so one thing I want to show you here is the cool thing about high level is you can split test landing pages. So we were doing a split test the last few months with paid traffic. The only difference was we were changing this copy in the header. So the winning version is this one here: replace your 9 to 5 income in less time than you think. And let me show you the version that was converting at 10% so you can see how similar they are. And so this is discover the 3 secrets to start a 10K month online business. This one just didn't resonate, I think, as well with people. I think a lot of times people are just weary of the 10K month, the 3 secrets. I think in general, the replace your 9 to 5 is a better fit for our avatar. We're trying to help people build enough income so they can quit their day job. And this workshop teaches you how to actually do that. So the difference between a few small words on a landing page are from 10 to 15%. And that is a massive difference when you're trying to scale a business. That is basically like a 50% reduction in the cost of acquiring a lead just by changing a few words on a landing page. Now, all of this stuff is extremely important. And so we're running and doing tests like this all the time and learning what works best so you can save those thousands and thousands of dollars that we spent on paid advertisements And we're sharing this all in public in the Earn From Anywhere Academy. And so let me go back to the slides here and we'll continue on. So you should have a good understanding of why lead capture matters, because without leads, you're just not going to get customers. And the biggest issue I see is, one, they don't have enough leads, and two, you just aren't good at converting those leads into customers. So no leads, no pipeline, no sales. The touch point is, again, the most important thing. Most people, if they don't convert within 7 to 14 days, they kind of fizzle off. So what I see is people, they get a lead, maybe send them an email, and then they wait a week or two to like follow up. I personally like a follow-up sequence every single day, or if that's too much for you, try every other day. And so it can be day one, immediately, like, they get an email. And so what we do for this funnel here is, as soon as they opt in, they get forwarded to our landing page that has the workshop on it. And the first thing we send them is an email immediately with a link to watch this workshop. The reason we do this is because people might be on their phone, they might be in their car, and when they opt in, they see the ad, they opt in, and they get busy. So they need that reminder. And so the next few emails are just sending them reminders. Here's the training link, watch it, creates emergency, say that you're going to take it down. And so the reason this is important is because people get busy, they get distracted, and they need reminders. So you want to get people to watch your training or to take the next step. So sending that in an email, sending that in an automated text message is going to help further push people down the nurturing. And so, for example, let's say you have a workshop and people need to watch that workshop before they can become a customer, or the likelihood is people who watch the workshop, the, the person who doesn't watch the workshop and gets on a call with you versus the person who does, likely is going to convert at 2, 3, 4 times more. And so that's why it's important to keep doing this and build automations that you build at once and they keep working in the background. And so the next step is, I want to show you how to build one of these, and we're basically going to go open high level. And so if you're in high level, if you're in our community, we'll actually do all of this stuff for you. And so let me show you exactly what this funnel looks like and how to actually build it. So this is the EFA welcome sequence. And so when people will opt in for our workshop, this is the sequence that they actually get sent to. And so I'll share some of the stats with you. This is an important thing to note, is that, again, we're getting a 46% open rate on this first email. The click rate is a little bit lower than I would want. So what I would suggest doing, and what I do every few weeks, is once we have enough data, we're actually going through. Typically, you're aiming for over 20% open rates, and over 3 to 5% click rates are typically good. And so the trigger that we have here is, as soon as they submit their form, they get sent this right away. Then there's a delay. They get sent the next email. And so when you want to build something similar like this, all you got to do is, in high level, go over to automations, create workflow. And so you can also build this using AI. You can just put in a prompt, tag no shows, and send follow up SMS. Set up an email drip campaign. So let's go ahead and try this. So the cool thing about high level, it has a lot of AI features built into it. And so the first part is, we're going to focus on two. One is lead capture and kind of abandoned cart or lead nurturing. And so if you have an e-commerce business, people who've started the checkout process and abandoned, like, it's a high amount. Some businesses, it's about 85 to 90% of people abandon cart, meaning they start the checkout or they start the shopping process, but they don't actually finish it. And so what I highly suggest doing is creating something that gets people's emails. And there's a few cool features where you can actually, even if they type in, they can go ahead and, oops. So there's a few cool features that, even if they type in their details, like if they just type in their phone number, it automatically captures it before they hit access. It depends on the software you're using and whatnot. But again, the great thing is that you want to capture their details. That way you can continue sending them details and reminders to take the next step. So let's see if this is working. It is in beta, so it can be a little buggy. But the good thing is we have a bunch of these already like preset that are converting at a really high rate. And I'm not going to show you all the headlines because a lot of that's just saved for people in our community. But I'll show you a few of the headlines that have worked pretty well for us. And so basically, what it did here is it just created a really cool automation. Again, it's in beta, takes some fine tuning, but that took like 13 seconds to just create a really cool automation here. So this is a customer reply. Basically, this is a trigger. So customer replied. That means they basically were in some workflow. They triggered a reply somewhere, and then it's going to basically do a check to see if the message is urgent. And then if it's marked urgent, it's going to notify the team. So this is what's called an internal automation where, let's say, for example, some customers like upset and they submit a ticket, they mark it as urgent. It'll send you like an internal team notification. It can send you an SMS, a Slack message, an email, all three. And basically, it's like, hey, something's wrong. You need to figure this out. And so I just want to show this feature of like what high level can do. And it can get really advanced. And the cool thing about this as well, um, I'll just erase that. The cool thing about high level is there is some really cool workflows that you can create and you can use templates. And so let me show you a few of the templates here. You can search here, let's just say AI, communication, workflow AI. So this is Facebook comments. This is email drip sequence, lead nurture. So let's see this one. So basically you start by adding the trigger. And so what you want to do here is just, form. So this could be a form submitted on your website. It can also be like Facebook lead ads, which is pretty cool where like if you've ever seen these, it like auto fills on Facebook ads with all your details. The conversion rates for this are super high. The only problem is sometimes people will have like older emails that they set up their Facebook account for like 10 years ago. But the cool thing is it like autofills the form. They hit one button and autofills it, and then they can adjust it if it's not the right details. There's some LinkedIn stuff as well. And so basically what happens here is you set whatever the trigger is, let's just say form submitted. And then it will send a email. And the cool thing is you can have multiple triggers. So let's say it's just contact changed. We can change that, and we can start multiple triggers to enroll them into the sequence. And so it's important to understand like all the different scenarios that are going to happen. And a few of the best things are, like based on their activity, you can enroll people into certain sequences. Like if they revisited a certain website or web page, you can enroll them in a trigger like, hey, I saw you were reviewing this resource. Do you have time to set up a call to like discuss it more in depth? And so usually the next step is either going to be a delay or some type of notification through email or texting. And so what you have here is the from name, the from email, and then the subject line that goes here. And typically having like an actual name, like what I would suggest is like I send from usually Mike at globalcareerbook.com. And so that's the from email and then the from name. Just use your first name and last name. Better to use this than like company name. Like if you just put in Google, people will be like, no way Google's emailing me. They want to get emails from real people. So put your first name and last name. Subject line, this is going to be the thing that has the biggest impact on opens. And so the analogy I like to use is People unfortunately do judge a book by its cover. It's very important. If the cover of the book is not interesting, people aren't going to stop to read the title, the subtitle. And this is with every piece of content. If the picture on Facebook doesn't stop you, you're not going to read the article. And then if the title of the article isn't interesting, you're not going to continue down. If the intro of the articles is like boring, if it doesn't hook you, you're not going to continue reading. And the same thing is important about emails. If the subject line doesn't grab your attention, people aren't going to open it. And then if this first hook here isn't captivating, people aren't going to read the email. And if they don't read the email, they're not going to click. So some of the subject lines that work pretty well are like your let's just say your gift inside, and then you can add a tag here. Since we got their first name, I like to usually put their first name. So it'd be something like this. Your free gift inside. This tends to work really well if you are giving away something for like an opt-in. So let's say the trigger is to get the opt-in, then something like this can work really well. And so what I would do is maybe take this and put it into ChatGPT. And I have a few GPTs that actually generate hooks. So let me show you a few of those. All right, so I'm going to ask my GPT to create 5 viral email subject lines. And again, this is just a quick example of what it will come up with. So I like this one, or the curiosity. So what you could do is like, I would adjust this. Again, they're not always perfect out of the box. Like, did you know this tiny shift? Like, and then you would add an example, a shift in what? In mindset can change everything about your business. It's a little long, but I like it. I like kind of where that's coming from. Um, what if you could transform your problem in 5 minutes a day? I like that. And then you just insert what the main problem is that you're teaching or solving. And so, like, what I might do here is like, what if you could replace your income by next week? Details inside, something like that, that gets people to open. In general, I like the free gift better than these, but typically it takes about 5 to 10 minutes of like, okay, we've got these 5 options. Then I make my own example. Then I create 10 more. And so what it would be is like, I like this. I have another viral hook here. And so what I would do is like create 5 variations of this email subject line. And so it's going to create some variations here. And basically what I do here is just kind of sift through and see which one I think is going to work the best. And the cool thing about high level is, like I showed you in this past thing here, is you can turn on the stats view here. And again, everything is needing to test. You have to test everything because your audience might respond to something differently than my audience. Again, I have a good foundation, a good guess of what's going to work well with the right avatar, but you have to monitor this and you have to test it. And in general, I like the rule of 1,000. But if you're not getting thousands of people in there, the rule of 100 is good. So once 100 people see this, review the stats, and then you can play around with the subject lines. And so then the copy is going to be the most important thing after here. Again, I always start off with, hey, first name, and you can just add in the tag here. So just like that, hey, first name or hi, first name. Again, that's going to be the preview text. So having the first name just shows like the likelihood of them opening an email that's addressed to them is like substantially higher. I've seen like 5 to 10% increases in open rates just by adding first names. And so that's why it's an important detail to ask for when you're creating your lead magnets. So what I would do here is basically just give them a reminder of like the core benefits of what this training offers. So I might start off with like main benefit here. Like here's the main thing they asked for. They just opted in for. So like a reminder. So here's the main thing you asked for, and then a link, and then underneath it, give them some details on like what it actually does. Here's like a preview of the 3 secrets. Here's the transformation that after watching it, they're going to get. So a lot of people try to sell the features, but in general, you should mention the features, but focus more on the actual like transformation. So what are they going to walk away with after using your lead magnet, after actually sitting through and giving you an hour of their time? What is going to be the outcome? So focus on the outcome and mention that in this email. So here's the main thing they asked for. Here's the training, the free training. Here's the outcome. You can add in urgency. You can give, let's just say, 3 bullets on the main things you discuss in the training. So I would do a CTA here, and then another CTA here, or urgency. So structure your emails kind of like this. Keep it simple. Make it seem like it's actually sent from a human. And so stuff like this works pretty well. Like an actual human is sending it. I'll sign off like this. And again, you've got a really simple email structure. You can put this into ChatGPT and it'll build something for you. This stuff's really important. Spend the time now to like build it great. And then once you've taken that time, it's going to do a better job of getting more opens, more clicks, and more customers through. And again, this is like one of the biggest, uh, let's just say, levers to get more customers to convert into your product. And so typically what I would do is essentially just keep delaying this. And I'll just go back to the already built one. I just want to give a quick preview of how to actually do this from scratch. And so I'll go through this other sequence here. I won't go through the whole thing, but I'll give you an overview about here's the what every opt-in form should have bare minimum, and then how to improve this. And so let me turn on the lead stats again. So for this one, I'm going to open the email. Your free workshop inside limited time, adds a little urgency. And so what I think would likely improve this is here's instant access to the free training you just signed up for. So this is quite vague. I don't really like this first line. So what I would do is go back to my landing page, start a new GPT chat. Oops. And then what I would do is just take the landing page they opted in for, take this copy, and then ask ChatGPT to make it better. And then I'm going to put the full email here. So let's just see what happens when we put all this in there. I think this email can be improved. So hit enter, and then basically it's going to put out some better copy for us. Okay, I like this. Could be the most valuable 45 minutes. Okay, I like this, but let's go through And the crazy thing about landing pages is most people don't actually read anything. So let's say 90, 85 to 90% only see this. And so I'm going to give it a little bit more context on what the features are. Mm. All right. So I actually like this first line better. And so what I usually do is I'll pick and choose. Like I very rarely ever just like, hey, copy and paste this in. What I'll do is I'll basically take this version and I'll just paste this line in. So I kind of break down what the training has. And so like what I've noticed here is since we changed it from 10K a month to replace your 9 to 5, I'm gonna ask it to basically update this to better relay what the details are on what they're actually learning. So as you can see here, guys, this is a lot of trial, a lot of testing, and a lot of revisions. And so usually what I'm doing here is this free workshop shows you how to replace your 9 to 5. Really, one thing that bugs me with ChatGPT is all of these double dashes. And so I try to get it to remove it. There's no way to really do it. It still adds them. But I think this is a better starting point. So let's go ahead and add this in. And so the main idea here is we don't have a lot of links here. So we have one link here. So I'm going to add a few more links in the email. And so again, you can see how this whole process is pretty important. Now, I would probably spend another 20 to 30 minutes just kind of thinking about this copy. I don't want to bore you with that, but again, I just want to show you that what ChatGPT comes up with is a good starting point, but it's not the end all be all. You really need to use it as a baseline and then add on top of it and adjust and tweak it. So just think about it, like kind of put yourself in the eyes of somebody else who's doing this. Like, I think the thing missing here is it's not focusing on that outcome, like to replace your 9 to 5 income. So that's already a clear value. Free training is ready right here, limited time to replace your 9 to 5 income. And so what I would probably do is I would likely spend another 10 to 15 minutes just making this intro a little bit better and a little bit more organic. And then I would likely add in some more bullet points of what they're actually going to learn and focus on what's going on or what they should be looking out for. So as I can see here, the open rate is good. The subject line's pretty solid. Uh, it's just a click through rate that likely should be above 10% for the first email. So that means that the call to action and the format of the copy isn't good enough. So there's room for improvement here. And so I don't want to spend all this time focusing on copy. That's going to be something that we do for more in-depth tutorials. But in general, I just want to show you how these workflows look like. Usually it's wait one day, then they're getting another email. But what I would do here to make this better is just literally add another short delay. Maybe it's like 20 minutes or 5 minutes, and just send them a text message, a much shorter version of this. Like, hey, here's the link to the training you just enrolled in, and shoot them a text. And basically, you can take a shorter variation of all the emails and send them in text form. You can send them in at the same time. You can stagger them a little bit, but in general, you kind of want to like send at similar times. So if they opted in and they get sent this email, the likelihood of them being on their phone is going to be a lot higher. So if somebody's really active and they opt in, or they're like doing this type of stuff, watching ads at 10 p.m. at night, it's going to send them the next email at 10 p.m., which gives them a higher likelihood of actually going through and opening these emails. So you need to experiment, but typically the more the better. And especially with text messaging, just adding text through this sequence will give you a lot higher conversion rates. So let me show you one other sort of workflow prospecting that is going to help you essentially take leads and get them into customers. So what I would do here is see if there's a lead nurture. And so we're just going to use this template, and we'll give you a little bit of insight on how this all works. So this is the birthday lead nurture sequence. Again, I like these types of things. The only problem is you got to capture their details. And so if you're not capturing their birthday, it's only going to work like once a year, which isn't bad. If you get enough leads, it can be, and customers, it can be a really good thing. Let me show a different workflow. Okay, I really like this one, the no show. Fast five. All right, let's try this one. This is a reactivation. And so what happens is basically like people go through initial sequence, and then this reactivates them. So what you probably want to have is like if somebody hasn't opened an email or hasn't opened anything from you for a while, then you can reactivate them. I personally think like around a month is a good time depending on your sales cycle. So if they don't convert off the first sequence, what most people do is they don't even have the first sequence. But the second most common pitfall is they don't have like a reactivation sequence that is going and hitting people at a different angle. And so a lot of times people just need to be in the right time and mindset to actually take through what you're teaching them. So they might have opted in, but they're just busy. They have personal stuff going on in their life. But then a month later, it's summer, and they've got, they're a teacher. They got 3 months on their uh, of time to actually implement and learn something. So if you hit them during that 3 months, they have a much higher chance of actually converting. And so this type of renurturing lead nurturing sequence is going to be super important. And so the trigger can be like, it can be in your CRM that you move them from one sequence to the next. It can be just in general that they opted in and it just waits a month. I would probably have like an if then sequence, if else. And so the reason to have this is like if somebody converts into a customer, like you don't want to send them, you don't want to activate this. So you can have some filters and other things, but adding in an if else sequence. So you got a condition, build your own recipe. So you can just basically add customer tags. I found that is the easiest way. Like does not include customer, something like that. And so that way, like after a month, it'll check. And so basically, the easiest thing is you just create an automation where it's like all customers who did this, or they when they join they get moved from one pipeline into the customer pipeline. A tag is automatically added to them. You can set up some stuff with Stripe and PayPal where it automatically adds the customer tag. And this basically just makes sure like you're not sending stuff to people who are already customers. You're wanting to isolate people who haven't. And so what you're going to do here is just kind of reactivate. Like you can say, hey, where have you been? I kind of like that headline. And so it'd be like first name. That's kind of the curiosity thing where it's like, where have you been? And what I would do is just like, hey, first name. Where have you been the past month? I know how life gets busy. You can actually add in like some things to like share with your personal life. It's been a hectic summer. The more detailed you can be, the better. It's been a hectic year, took a few months. Anything that sounds like you're actually sending this like to them directly, that it's not part of a sequence. And so what I would do here is like, here's what you missed out on. And so you can list a few things that they lost access to, or they maybe didn't actually get to attend, and say, "Hey, the bad news is those things are gone." And so they might not have been interested in the workshop. What you can do here is like, "Hey, the workshop is gone, but the good news is I have something for you." And so what I like to do, if you have time on your calendar, just offer a free audit or a free, you know, whatever you can do to get them on the phone, basically. So, whatever your core value proposition is, get them on the phone and offer them something of value, and basically just include a link where they can schedule a call with you. And the great thing about High Level is you can actually build these links in there, and it'll allow you to uh, basically send a calendar where they can just book a time and show up. And so the reason that this works pretty well is you don't know why they haven't converted. Getting on a call with people is the fastest way to get details. And so what I usually do is like on the last email of the first sequence, I'll add in a call to action to book a call. And then on a re-nurturing thing, I'll say, hey, here's all the things you missed out on the past month. And here's a strong call to action to book a call. If they don't book a call, I'll probably ask them again a few days later. I think a month between emails is too long. So I would say like wait a month, and then I would email them 2 or 3 times trying to get them on the phone with a day delay. And so the reason that I found this to work better is like, hey, if you get people on the phone, you can add some qualifications before they schedule a call just so you're not wasting time. But the thing that I've seen is you learn so much faster if you can talk to people. And the one of the biggest issues I see with a lot of people is they don't want to talk to people, and you're either going to waste time or you're going to waste money by not talking to your leads, your prospects, and what has prevented them from becoming a lead to becoming a customer. It bridges that gap a lot faster. And so the more you learn about it, the better you can make your marketing emails, the better you can make your workshops, your lead magnets, everything. And so it just helps gather details from people as fast as in a lot faster means. So I hope this was helpful. I think these are just two really basic uh, sort of lead nurturing, lead creation workflows. And I've kind of showed you how to use AI. So again, if you want to get access to a lot more advanced tutorials, all you have to do is join the Earn From Anywhere Academy. You can scan this QR code. You can click the link below, or you can go to school.com/EFA. And inside there, we've got, $20,000 worth of video programs, resources that all show you how to get your first customers. And so if you enjoyed this video, if you have any questions, don't go away because we're going to actually focus on 3 more advanced automations. And so I'm going to transition this over to my good buddy here, Mark, who is a automation expert. He's basically who I've gone and learned a lot from about all of this stuff. And he has a bunch of years of experience doing this. So basically, Mark, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and I'm going to let you kind of take over and start talking about the more advanced automations on platforms like N8N. So you're going to want to stick around because if you like that first part, this next part is going to be super beneficial and it's going to basically be building on that foundation of those early, simpler automations and how to actually build to the more advanced stuff. So, Mark, feel free to introduce yourself a little bit, and I'll basically pass it over to you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Mike, for those, very informative ways on how to automate using Go High Level. And now we will be talking about N8N. Maybe some of you heard of it, some of you haven't heard of it, but it's very useful to know how to use N8N nowadays since, we all use AI, right? And of course, N8N, when we know how to use this, saves our time as well because it will automate most of the tasks that we do manually. So, have you ever thought of thinking about creating your own AI chatbot, but you thought it was too complicated? So, in this training, we will show you how to set it up quickly, not more than 10 minutes, using a free template that taps into real-time live data. So I'll be sharing my screen here. All right. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it here. And again, these AI chatbots, I've seen and personally implemented them, and they've generated, like, depending on the business, I've generated millions of dollars just by adding on chatbots because they do a really good job of just capturing leads. And like people might be on your website, but you don't know what their problem is or what they're looking for. And chatbots do a really good job of like getting them to their source of details, whether it's a sales call, whether it's like information about your product. Sometimes just like, hey, do you have a return policy or what's your guarantee or shipping time or whatever? It does a really good job of like getting that information to people and as fast as possible. And implementing this has like generated millions of dollars for companies. And I've personally done it for my businesses I've consulted with. So this can be a huge game changer to collect data. And it's also really good at getting details to like, oh, what are people's issues and questions? And so, Mark, I'll basically pass it over back to you, buddy.
All right. Yes, that's right. So yeah. But I don't want this to be overwhelming to all of you. So of course we will be starting with the basics, right? The basics on how to use this. So we're using this app. We're gonna use this. It's called N8N. So you can see the website is n8n.io. So you can just sign in and create an account. And if you already have, just put in your account name there and you can sign in, right? So you see here that this is the main interface of N8N. And if you want to create one workflow, just click this and create under your personal project. But since we are just starting here, so we can create using templates. So just hit it on the right side, on the left side here, click on templates. And of course, we will start with the first AI agent, how we can build that. So when we click that, it will go to this part. Okay. So this one is the first sample AI agent that we can build because, to build something that will work for our business, like sales, like marketing. So we need to know the basic elements of N8N, of an AI agent. All right. So you can see that there's a video tutorial here that you can also watch. Yeah, but that's why we're here. We'll tackle all of these nodes. So nodes are just steps or segments of the workflow, right? So when you say there's a node, those are just the steps inside a workflow. All right. So using templates here, right? So using templates, we can use pre-built workflow template in N8N. It also has sticky notes for guidance. So you see here that it has sticky notes when we use N8N workflows templates like that. All right. So these are just guides on how to use it. So that's the good thing about templates here on N8N. And then you can also see the step-by-step walkthrough on how to use it. So it already includes the main notes that you need. So you need to read that for the extra tips and context. Right? So let's begin with the first one. That is the chat trigger node. So if you remember in high level, we have triggers as well. So in N8N, we have chat trigger nodes, as you can see here. So this is the chat trigger node. So this is where everything starts. So this is your interface for chatting with AI. Think of it like the front door where users enter and start asking questions. So how to modify the settings of this? Just click it. All right. Just click that and put message there and then test it. Okay. All right. So this is for demo purposes, but yeah, that's the purpose of the chat trigger node. So it is the first node in the workflow. It configures the chat interface and user entry point. Okay. So in order to edit that, just double click that and then you can do it. All right. Next one is the AI agent node. So what's an AI agent node? So looking back, this is the AI agent node. So AI agent node is the block that decides what tools to use and when to use them. So it's the core decision maker. You can also select tools and generate responses using that. So it coordinates the conversation logic, making sure that your chatbot responds intelligently. So it's the brain of the workflow, as you can see here. All right. So if we zoom this in, so the AI agent, that's the next step after the chat. It can receive messages from the chat. It can select the right tools. For example, here, the weather or the news, and then respond with live and helpful answers. So we can open this and edit the system message to adjust the agent's thinking, behavior, and replies. So this is where you can put in the role, like, so you can set up this brain of the AI agent that you can have, right? So it's like a prompt. It's like the general prompt that you can have. So if you want to see it, the whole thing or the whole prompt inside your AI agent, you can select all that and then copy that, right? Or you can read it below here. So if you want to produce a different type of result, so you need to change this, right? But for now, this is a chatbot, so we will just proceed with the default one. And if you want to add more, just add option in here. So that's the AI agent. So next one, after the brain, we will have the language model node. So what's the language model node? That's the first one here on the lower left. So you can see it's familiar, like right, it's Gemini. But do you know other language model for AI? The most famous, ChatGPT, right? So there's also Anthropic, if you heard of that. There's also uh, Perplexity. There are a lot of AI models out there that you can use, right? But in this part, we will use Gemini. Okay, so the language model node is the actual engine of your chatbot. So by default, it's Google AI, but you can connect OpenAI or any other model. So this is what powers the actual conversation and generate text. So it handles thinking and writing. So you see here, to set this up, we can connect Gemini. So let's follow this. In Google AI Studio, click Create API, key in new project and copy it. So that's the process of making this engine work. So we need to connect it to our own app or under our own credentials. So let's follow this. Click that. So we are now here on the Google AI Studio, and then we will create API key in new project and copy it. So create API key, click that. So let's try this new project. Okay. Okay, and then we will copy that. Open the Connect Gemini node. So let's open this. So this one is a node. So select credential and create new. So double click that, create new credential, and just paste the API key there that we just generated, and then click save. So it's see connection tested successfully. So now it's using this API key that we just generated from Google AI Studio. So it's like, think of it like we just added fuel to the engine and now it can run. Okay. So you see, we connected it already. And then let's check if it's saved. Double click. All right. So you can see it's connected to Google Gemini account. All right. And it's using the basic one, 2.5 flash, because we don't have a pro account there. All right. So way to go. We will now proceed to the next one, which is the memory. Okay. So the next one is the conversation memory. So from the memory word itself, it stores all the things that we typed in, all the commands that we put on our AI. So it stores previous messages. So it ensures that your bot remembers context. So because without it, your chatbot would treat every message as brand new. So remember, if you're using ChatGPT, right? They know you. ChatGPT knows your previous messages, knows what type of person you are based on what you are typing on the model. All right. So this makes the interaction smoother and more natural, and it improves user experience. What you can see that is here, right? The conversation memory. So this one is just the regular one. We don't need to edit this, right? So it's fine. We have this default memory here. Okay. So next one is this one is the tools. So let's proceed with the tools integration. So for this one, the tools are the superpowers for the AI. So nodes for tools give your chatbot real world abilities. So you can connect to Gmail, you can connect to Google Calendar, or maybe even live data fetch. Data fetch is like calendar events or live data from the web. So this is where the bot becomes more than just a text. It can actually do things. All right. So depending on the tools that you use, that will the AI will just use those tools for you so that you can have the desired result that you want. Okay. So let's proceed with the API key setup. So to run the workflow, you'll need an API key and just click the red sticky note link like this one, like we did. Just click that and paste it into your language model node. So we can rename that as well. My Gemini key for easy tracking. All right. So we already connected that. That's perfect. And now we will test our bot here. So let's check first the weather. Yeah. Okay. So it's using the API from meteo.com. Okay. And also get news for this one. So let's open chat. So let's try our bot now. right? We're now testing it. So, for example, let's ask our bot, mm, what's the weather for tomorrow in Manila, Philippines. Okay, so let's try if it's working. So the agent is now working. Gemini. Okay, so it gets the weather. So yeah, so you see there's an output here. So it looks like tomorrow, September 17th in Manila, you can expect a maximum temperature of 28.4 degrees. So there's a chance of rain, something like that, right? Yeah. So let's try now the news. So let's see if it can get news uh about the stocks, or maybe the news, latest news, the hottest news in the world. So give me latest news around in the Philippines today. Okay? So let's see. So it can decide, we put here two tools, right? But I think we can have, so let's see what news is this. RSS feeds. Okay. So it defined the model. So maybe give me the latest news for today. Okay. All right. Yeah. So BBC. So let's choose BBC. Global headlines. So you see here the response: Israel's committed genocide. Those are bad news. Yeah, but you see, it's working. It decides to use the tool news here because our we are asking about the news. And what's good with this is, we can, instead of typing it that typing here that I wanna get news from BBC and just put it here and just rely on one AI tool, which is Gemini. Now we can define which tools we are using by using N8N, right? Imagine that using AI, using other tools that we can connect here, will actually do a much easier job for us. Okay. So for our personalization and next steps, so once it's working and we tested it, so we can customize the system message. So we can change the tone, role, and style. So we can swap models like OpenAI, ChatGPT, or we can add extra tools like Calendar or Gmail. And remember, there are tons of templates to explore. Many are plug and play, so you can build advanced bots fast. So yeah, I hope you got the basic uh, things needed for an AI agent to run. Okay, so with that being said, we can have more templates, right? So we can proceed to the next one, which is this one. We will now create automated email sending with Google Sheets and Gmail. So we are now doing marketing, right? So we are now doing marketing. Okay, so I hope you are all learning something from our training today. So our next topic is this one. So any workflow, automated email sending with Google Sheets and Gmail. So we'll break down this N8N workflow that automates sending customer messages directly from Google Sheets using Gmail. So we'll see how each node works and see how they connect together to form a complete automation pipeline, right? So the template overview here. So I will just show you first what it looks like, but let's save this, what we've done here with the basics. So this one. So you can see this is also a template, but you see there are notes here, sticky notes and guides that we can have. So the trigger here is to schedule the trigger. All right, so we can schedule, and I will discuss what this workflow does in our next training. Okay, so this one. So let's wait for it. All right. So the first trigger is from Google Sheets. So it will check Google Sheet for customer messages, filter based on the readiness and date, sends email with Gmail, and then updates the sheet with new status. Okay, so that's the workflow overview for that, for this one. So let's just close this, the one that we have just discussed. Okay, so the first one, retrieve customer messages data. So this node pulls data from Google Sheets. It could be a list of contacts, scheduled messages, or reminders. And the power here is centralizing customer data in a sheet using N8N to act on it automatically. So it grabs data inside a Google Sheet that we already have and then schedule messages or reminders. So, this is time saving because, because of this trigger, we can just send emails from Google Sheet without copying and pasting it on our email, right? And then sending it to them. So first, of course, right, to start this, okay. So let's use first the Google Sheets. So you can see here that we need to add a credential. So double click that, double click the retrieve customer data, select a credential. So we need to sign in with Google first. Right, let's use our email here. So allow access. Okay, once it's connected, all right. So once it's connected, so we will check the document. So let's see if we had Google Sheets here connected. All right. So let's create a new one. Let's check on my other account because we need to have a Google Sheet connected. And, on that account, it will detect if you have a Google Sheet there with contacts. So let's check. All right. Where's the document? Sheet meeting document. All right. So this one from list. So let's see. Website import file. So let's use this one. Yeah, sample contacts, side hustle summit attendees. Come pay. Okay, so it has sample emails here. Let's check. Okay. Now we'll be adding filter email. So let's execute this and let's try. Okay. So yeah, it gets email now. Right? I think it's getting the email now. All right. So yeah. So we already defined here the emails. Okay. And then now we can close it. You see it's checked already. Hold the filter status, waiting for sending. Okay, it's there. All right. And then send a message. So all we need to do is now we connected that. So filter status node, the next one. So we need to filter by status here. So it means waiting for sending. So we filter only the rows that has the right status. So for example, we're filtering the note here by email, like we did before. So this avoids your sending completed messages and ensures we only process those marked already. All right. So now filter by current date. All right, filter by current date. Let's check that in here. Yeah. So filters messages scheduled for today. So that node checks the date column and compares it with today's date. So in that way, only the messages meant to go out today are processed. So if date didn't match, so they will be skipped. So the date format that you need to have is year, month, and date. So let's check that year, month, and date. All right. Okay. And then the Gmail node. So this is also important, right? Since we don't have dates here, that's fine. We only need this email section here that the AI will grab, the AI agent will grab. Now here, let's proceed to the Gmail node. So the Gmail node sends the email. So all the key fields like the address, subject, and content are mapped from the spreadsheet, and this makes flexible and scalable. So let's check the Gmail here. Double click, select credential, create new, sign in with Google again, and then let's use our email. So let's select and allow, continue, and then it will be connected successfully. All right. So here. So here's where you can define the message. All right. So send email type and the message of or the subject. So we need to define that as well. And then you will now merge field here. Right. So it will pull recipient, subject, and body from Google Sheet. So it must be mapped on the spreadsheet. So you need to have messages already on the spreadsheet that we connected. So unlike the other workflows that you need to put in your message in here inside, on this part, you need to have a sheet that has the message in it for a certain uh, customer or certain email, right? So yeah, the next one is merge fields node. So what does this merge field do? As you see here, so merge fields combines the fields from different nodes. So sometimes different nodes has different formats, but this one combines them, making sure the Gmail node and update step receive everything in a clean format. So it ensures consistent data structure and prepares data for Gmail and update. right? So that's what it do. And then the next one is the set data node. As you can see here, the set data, right? So you can see if you can do manual mapping, name type, and string. So it defines your updated fields. For example, we might store the time the email was sent to set a new field that marks the process as complete. So it stores additional info like timestamp, but it prepares for updating the sheet. Okay, and then the next one, update message status. So it will be updating the sheets automatically. So it needs to be connected, both of it. If we use here credential 2, we will also use Google Sheet accounts 2 within in here. Okay. All right. So yeah, so update message status. So for this part, so it writes back to Google Sheets. So that's the final step when the this workflow updates the Google Sheet that we have. So it changes the status from waiting for sending to sent and include extra information like the send date. So this closes the loop and keeps the record updated. So it will also send the report on your Google Sheet once you connected it. So it will add other data like the time when is it sent, like the message ID and other stuff. So what's the benefit of using this kind of workflow? Just by sending your automating your email sending. So the first one, it saves time by eliminating manual sending. So this workflow saves you hours of manual work. It ensures accuracy and keep everything neatly tracked inside your Google Sheet. So it's scalable, efficient, and easy to adjust for different campaigns. So you can scale to hundreds or thousands of customers and prevents error with filters and automation. So if you're wondering where to find this, so you can just hop in here to templates, right? Let's just save this because we already connected. And then you can see here pre-built agents, right? Voice assistant agents, task management agent, calendar agents. But you can see here if we view all templates, we have a lot of templates we can use under N8N. So are you on AI, sales, IT, marketing, other, and support? So if you check, everything is in here, right? So if you go and click on sales, the featured sales templates will show up like generate lead, fill Google Maps, Gmail campaign sender, social media analysis, and automated email generation. So there are different uh, templates here that we can use. So here, with that being said, aside from sending emails using N8N, we can proceed to the next topic, which is about lead generation. And as you can see here, it's using how to have more leads. How can we have more leads using AI, using workflow? Of course, we can use Google Maps, and that's our next topic. So the next one here is Google Maps email scraper workflow. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. So in this training, we will also use a template, but we'll break down how to build an automated workflow in N8N that scrapes Google Maps, extracts business websites, pulls emails, and exports them to Google Sheet step by step. Right? And if you want to see that workflow, right, it's here. Yeah, but in here, I think this one is what I use is the lead generation. Yeah. Google Maps Business Scraper. Um, yeah. Lead generation system. This one. I think this is the one I used. Right. But this is the one we will be talking about this workflow. So you can see there are simple four steps here. The first one is Google Maps data extraction, website URL process, smart website scraping, and email extraction and export. So let's begin with this another workflow that we will tackle about. So how can we extract business emails automatically with N8N? So we start our Google Maps, we clean the data, scrape each site carefully, and finish with a clean email list. So as you can see here, where this node is where workflow execution starts, right? So scrape Google Maps. So it already has a site here, google.com map search. Okay. All right. So let's begin now here. So step one, scrape Google Maps. So the first step is HTTP request. So HTTP request is like the get. It's like how N8N gets data in a website or in a tool. So we use HTTP request and instead of using always API. When we use HTTP request, it doesn't require AI or API. It's easy because we just need a website. All right. So we directly scrape the search results page. So this is where we grab the first business information. So it downloads the raw HTML code of the page. For example, we're here, right? On this part. Uh if we're on like google.com, maybe you see that if you right click, you can just view page source, something like that. That's the HTML, this one. So if you see it on the right side, this is the HTML. This is the one that we are scraping. So that's everything that this website has, right? So it's really good. You don't need API for that, right? So that's the first step on our workflow here. So if we double click that, so it's searching the Calgary dentists, right? It's already there, but we can use other maps. For example, let's change this website. Let's go to Google Maps and let's search businesses in US. So let's check what it's looked like first, like this one. So it's search, then Calgary dentist on Google Maps. So let's try a different one. Let's search barber shops. So for example, our target customers are barber shops. Barber shops in Texas. Something like that. Yeah. So that will be our link. Okay. So let's see if we'll show up barber shops in Texas. Okay. So that's great. So we'll use this link. So remember what we did. So google.com map search barber shops in Texas. Okay. So we'll save that. Execute. All right. Okay. So that's great. So it's successfully executed. So yeah, you see, we have checked that already. All right. So that's how we use this. So we'll just change the URL under the Google Maps in there. So let's proceed to the next one. why no API is needed? Like before, we connected APIs, right? But now we just use URLs. So as you can see here, direct URL scraping saves money. And many people think you always need Google API or Google Maps API, but N8N can grab the HTML directly from the page. Because we can search any location or any terms. For example, you have different leads that you're looking for, like real estate, right? Construction, construction firms, something like that in Boston, like that. Yeah. So you can have this search bar, and all of these you can get the emails of that, and that's what we are trying to do instead of doing it manually. All right. You see, they have their phone numbers there. Their So that's our what we are scraping, the details that is showing up on the Google Maps. Okay. So now we can extract and process website results. So let's check here. Okay. All right. So it's getting what we have on the first step. So let's execute if this is working. So while we're waiting for that, yeah. So it got the maps at google.com and the data of it. So that's great. So we use the extract URLs, filter Google URL, and remove duplicates and have limit. So regex finds the sites. We filter junk links and remove duplicates. That's the best thing about this. We tend to have duplicates when scraping data on the internet, right? But you know, this AI agent limits that kind of reduces that kind of error. And then use the limit node to test small batches. As you can see here, all right, yeah, it's successfully executed. So that's done. So this is the whole step right here until the limit. So it checks also the duplicates, you can see. Remove items repeated with current input and also filter Google URLs. Okay? Next one, why cleaning is critical. So without cleaning, we'd waste resources and possibly get flagged. So we know that if we got some irrelevant Google links, so we can get flagged or we can get tagged as spam. So this step ensures that we are getting good leads, and it helps also with small scale testing. So no, smart website scraping. So you can see here there's a loop step, right? So it processes website individually to prevent IP blocking. So that is a smart website scraping. You're wondering why? Why do we have to loop over something like this? Because instead of blasting all side at once, we process them one by one. We wait nodes like this one. We have this wait nodes and pauses. So website don't block us. So even though one site fails, we cannot get the data from it. So the workflow keeps going. And we will not be tagged as spam as well. Okay? All right. But I can see here that we need to connect sheet again for whatever we want. Let's create a document named maps, leads, leads, Google Map leads, Gmap leads. Okay. Just wait for it. So I think we need to create another one. All right. Let's see if it created that one. Ah, no. So let's just create. So let's see if it will create a new Google Sheet for us. Okay. So you see it create spreadsheet. Okay. Mm. So let's try to execute this now. Right. So while it's executing, right. So why waits and loops? So yeah, it avoids IP blocking, respects server limits, and improves success of scraping. So scraping too fast, gets us blocked. So we can be tagged as spam. So this pauses and loop make workflow scalable and safe. All right. So let's see if we got something here on our sheets here. Always output data. So let's see how many items we got. Oh, how many items we got? All right. So I think we need to define this one first. Emails. Yeah. Always output data. Okay, let's try again. Yeah. So next one is extracting emails and export. So regex scan each site's HTML for emails. Empty results get filtered out. Multiple emails are split into rows and duplicates removed. And finally, everything exported to Google Sheets. So let's see if maybe it doesn't find anything about barbershops. That's why, right? So maybe we can try a different URL, like Calgary dentists, like the one we have. Maybe it can find emails for dentists, but not for, right, not for barbershops, right? So let's see. So it got 5 emails now. 6. So yeah, dentists have a lot of emails in their uh in Google Maps, right? So yeah, so let's check the data. We have 3 items here. So let's check. Okay. So I think we can check our document. Yeah. So we have this one. So it created a Google Map lead right now. Where's the result? Yeah, but good thing it let's check maybe the other ones. It says it has 3. Oh, I think we need to define, sorry, we need to define the email because it got 6 items. Yeah. It doesn't got any this one. Inglewood Family Dental. So it only got this one, 3 items. All right. But yeah, we need to add we need to define here. We need to create an email tab here. All right. URL. I think we need to define that first so it will work properly. But yeah, you can see how it works. It gets emails as you can see here on our um workflow in here, right? So going back on our topic, so for the final summary, so from Google Maps, so we can scrape emails there using Google Maps and scraping the websites, getting the emails, and then putting it on Google Sheets. So it's fully automated, no paid APIs needed. So it's beginner friendly but scalable for big campaigns. So I think we need to define this one, the emails that it got and the URL that we have, the where it come from. So it just needs to, just needs to keep practicing, keep trying of every location you can try. Edit this workflow here. Like there's an error here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you need to define the fields first before extracting or before running the workflows for better results. But yeah, maybe you got all the basics on how to use this powerful AI tools to get leads on any location or any industry or niche that you have, right? So, yeah, that's the end of our training on my end.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. That was super informative. And again, if anybody is interested in getting more access, more details, and everything, we'll leave some links below where you can start all this software. You can start it either with a free trial, and we actually give you an extended free trial of Go High Level. And you can also join the community to get access to, I think we have about 40 of these more in depth trainings that focus more on one or two sort of like outcomes, a bunch of other valuable resources. And you can also ask myself and Mark unlimited questions about how to get unstuck, how to get your first customers, help with other automations. And so we'll leave links to all of these details down below. And again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, and we'll try to get back to you with all your answers. So, thank you so much, everyone.